Hey guys, welcome to this channel. Today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book Freakout tag and I am very excited. So I absolutely adore watching these videos and the end of the year wrap-ups and just what everybody's like top tier favorites of the favorites are, and then also books that have fallen a little bit short to see what I want to pick up potentially to read for the rest of this year. So without further ado, let's just hop straight into the video. Number one is, what is your favorite book that you have read thus far? For me, this is The Stolen Heir by Holly Black, and this actually came as a complete surprise to me. I know a lot of people love like The Cool Prince, that whole entire trilogy, and while I have read the first and second, I haven't read The Queen of Nothing yet, and it's because I do like the series. I think it's good, but it's not phenomenal in my mind, and I know a lot of people absolutely adore it, but it's just not really a favorite. So I wasn't sure if this was going to be worth like getting the hardback version of and reading, but I absolutely loved it. So it came as such a surprise, but I really liked the main character. Of course, I liked the love interest and also the little kind of plot twist, I guess, at the end. It wasn't necessarily my cup of tea. Like, I wish it kind of would have gone differently, but this is one of the only books this year that has truly captivated all of my attention, and I was just here for it. Also, while we're here talking about Holly Black, I just want to mention The Coldest Girl in Cold Town. I feel like a lot of people know Holly Black because of The Cruel Prince, and sometimes I feel like if maybe the series wasn't a hit for you, you're like, maybe Holly Black just isn't my thing. But I highly recommend picking this up, especially for spooky season potentially. I love this. I reread it all the time. I think it's phenomenal. It doesn't have to do with fairies, but it does have to do with vampires. So if that doesn't hook you, then I don't know what will. Next up is best sequel that you have read this year. So I have two for this. One is actually on my bookshelf right here, and that is The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. I really love Stephanie Garber. Her legendary series, it's not what it's called, the Carvel series, is one of my favorites of all time. I wasn't a huge fan of the first book, but the second and third book killed it. I just loved that book. So I was really excited to know that this was a duology that she ended up turning into being a trilogy, which after the end of this one, I am very happy that it turned into a trilogy. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I was really excited because I got this one signed from Barnes & Noble, and it's tough because I didn't know if I should put it as my favorite second book, because I absolutely love the author and I do like this series a lot, but again, there's just something about this book that didn't necessarily make it my favorite, but necessary in the context of a trilogy. Which is why I also have These Twisted Bonds, and this is by Lexi Ryan, as another choice, because this is the second one after These Hollow Vows, which I really like that first book. And again, this second book, though I did like this one, it wasn't to me as great as the first book, but we definitely got a conclusive ending that we needed, which obviously we didn't have before. So I ended up really liking this duology. I thought it was great. I didn't expect to really fall in love with it, but I really enjoyed it. Also, this cover is kind of fun because it's like you have the one guy here, but then on the back you have this other guy. So you're like, who's it gonna be? Number 3 is new release that you haven't read yet, but you want to. And for that, I'm picking up Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I really love this author. I have several of her books right here. I'm pretty sure I have bought every book she has, and she's one of those authors that's a go-to buy. I believe this book was actually released in 2022, but it is her newest book, and I feel like 2022 is close enough to 2023. Kind of. So this is the book that I picked, and I actually picked this up while I was in Scotland, so I only got it for £3, which was such a steal because it is so much more expensive here in the States. But like I said, this is just a go-to author for me, and I will probably mention her a second time because I'll have to talk about favorite authors, but this is just like an automatic purchase type of thing. All of her books are so different, but I just appreciated her writing style so much. I've enjoyed every single one, and it's the type of author that has so much complexity and depth and deep emotion while still being funny in books, and I really appreciate that. So next is your most anticipated new release for the second half of the year. So I'm actually going to put a picture here of the one that I am talking about. I don't actually know the title of it, but I have absolutely loved this author, gotten addicted to her stories, and I always get it on Kindle because I have the Kindle Unlimited, so it's actually free, which is awesome. But I've fallen in love with this series. Just these like funny closed door romances that are really cute, but again, like some depth to it. They're just phenomenal stories. So her first part of the series, I believe, follows 4 or 5 people in a band, and each of them goes through and kind of like meets the love of their life. And then there's this second series where the main girl in the first series brother is on a baseball team. So he plays professional baseball, and so this like second kind of spin-off series is following these baseball players on it. And so that is where we're at now. I'm like 8 books into this world, and it's just lovely and phenomenal. And like I said, this is one of those go-to authors that no matter what she publishes, I'm probably going to enjoy. Next up is actually biggest disappointment. Well, if you guys don't know, I am getting my master's in English literature right now, so my biggest disappointment for the year, unfortunately, was H.G. Wells' A Time Machine. This is a classic and written in the Victorian era and was one of its first of the kind of having time travel. Unfortunately, I really wanted to enjoy this book, but it fell a little bit flat for me. It was supposed to be this dystopian, like a utopia that turns into a dystopia. I thought because it was pretty short and again so well known that I would enjoy it, but as I said, it just wasn't my favorite. I found a lot of problematic aspects of it that weren't ever like really redeemed in this story whatsoever, but I know a lot of people, this is a classic and they really enjoy it. It just wasn't my cup of tea. So next up, we have biggest surprise. So I'm not going to double dip with books here, but I would say the biggest surprise I had was The Stolen Heir. But on top of that, something I was not expecting was like in The Woven Kingdom by Tahira Mafi. She wrote the Chatter Me series, which I'm pretty sure everybody knows at this point, and it is absolutely lovely and I love it. And I'm so glad she came out with more than just 3. If you're an OG reader of hers, you know it took her a long time to come out with the other part. But I picked this up because I knew that I enjoyed her and the back of the synopsis just really drew me in. It is a Persian mythology inspired fantasy series and it follows our main protagonist who's a girl and also dual perspective with a guy. So the main male protagonist is the prince of a kingdom. And basically there's this prophecy that the king in front of him will die somehow and it's from somebody of a different kingdom. So like the queen of a different kingdom, and of course we have our servant here who is disguised as such. I'm not spoiling anything, that's pretty clear from the get-go, and also you can read the back of the book and it does say that. So it's really cool because it involves this magic, again this like Persian empire, which is really neat, and then a great romance where it's like enemies to lovers, but also I don't know, it was so unique and I really enjoyed it and immediately wanted to pick up the second one, but I wasn't in the States so I had to wait to come back to get it. So next up we have favorite new author and also favorite new fictional crush. So these actually go hand in hand for me, and that is Sarah Adams. So I have read The Cheat Sheet by her and then also When in Rome, which is like the Audrey Hepburn spin-off. Now, I know a lot of people love these in different ways. I am absolutely a huge fan of The Cheat Sheet. So fictional crush-wise, that would definitely be Nathan from The Cheat Sheet. I know a lot of people say that this is just like a super like cotton candy sweet read, but I actually feel like there is a good amount of depth to it and I just absolutely love this story. I love the 2 main characters. Brie is hilarious and it's like she's strong but funny, and also I appreciate that they're in their 20s and they're not just teenagers anymore. I just really like this book, but it was still a closed door romance, which I liked, and I still felt like there was great chemistry. So overall I just absolutely adore this book. This is the UK cover, but I also have the US cover somewhere, which I will have to find. But there's this one, and then When in Rome I appreciated as well. I thought it was cute. It was a little bit different and it wasn't as good as The Cheat Sheet, but I really like Sarah Adams. I love her as an author and these were 2 great reads. Next up, we have The Book That Made Me Cry, which is by Anthony Duar. The book is a really phenomenal book. It is over World War II and it follows 2 main protagonists. One is a female who is blind, and this is in Paris, takes place in France. And then also we have a German boy who is forced into the Hitler Youth, and it follows them really not even chronologically. It just follows them throughout this time of World War II of growing up and the adversity that they face because the boy is an orphan, and then of course she is blind and her mother is not there, and it just faces a lot of, as I said, adversity with these characters, but also any World War II novel can have the potential to be very heartbreaking, and this one definitely was. I would say it's almost like a more mature, in a sense, book thief. And when I say that, I don't necessarily mean the storyline, but just the lyrical writing style. I thought it was really beautifully written, but it was definitely heart-wrenching. And next up is Book That Made You Happy, which is Blade of Secrets. This is by Trisha Levensteller. She's also the person who wrote Daughter of the Pirate King and also Daughter of the Siren Queen, which I really adore, but these books are very savage actually. This book is quite unique. The reason that I liked this so much is there was a lot of mental health awareness, specifically our main character in this book, Ziva, who is a bladesmith, or I guess a metalsmith, who is commissioned to make swords, ends up having all of this power. And it's just an interesting flip on, I feel like, a lot of these YA narratives where female is completely helpless or they have to be the most strong person in the world and never ask for any kind of help. And I feel like Blade of Secrets was mixing this power, but power, obviously, it doesn't have to come in just a physical way, and I feel like you really saw this in Ziva, the main character. It was just a really unique fantasy story that I feel like you don't see those types of characters displayed, so I really appreciated it. It made me very happy, and it just made me happy to see this unconventional strength in somebody and just see how that can still be really overcoming and really powerful. Next up is the most beautiful book you have read thus far this year, and that is definitely Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. If you know anything about me, you know I love Jane Eyre. It is one of my favorite books of all time, and I did have to reread it again for my Victorian literature class this year, and I loved it. So this is the copy I got. It has these beautiful gold edges, as you can tell, and it's also hand painted on here. So you have the scene of Jane and Mr. Rochester, of course, and then you also have the back with this castle, which is stunning, a beautiful spine, which is just so pretty. And then even when you open up the pages, there's this teal special lettering. So it's just an absolutely gorgeous and stunning book. It's also a really large copy of Jane Eyre compared to the small original one that I had, but it is one of the most pretty books in my whole entire collection now, so I'm super excited that we got it. So next we have up the book that you definitely want to read before the end of the year, and I'm also wrapping that into the best book to movie adaptation, which is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. So I know I can't actually say this is going to be the best book to movie adaptation because of course I have not seen it and it comes out in November, but I'm just saying I hope it is because I haven't really seen any other book to movie adaptations, at least this year. I'm really excited to see this. Check out President Snow's perspective in The Hunger Games. I just talked to a friend who was a humongous fan of The Hunger Games, and she said that it was really fantastic and that even the little details in the stories, if you're a big fan, like there's a ton of connections made and reasons why all these things happened in The Hunger Games. So I'm excited as a little nostalgia piece to go back and read this, and I actually just finished Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer, of course. I ended up enjoying this. It was quite a unique read. I feel like I have a lot of thoughts over this. I loved the Twilight series back in the day. I know that's an unpopular opinion sometimes, but I really loved it. And this book, I'm not quite sure how I felt about it. I appreciated the nostalgia of going back in time, but I'm not sure like how much more I got from it than other books. But as I said, I was a big Twilight fan, so I'm actually considering doing a video where I try and read the whole Twilight series in 24 hours and to see if I can do it, and then what my thoughts are now, the difference in my 20s as opposed to at like 13 and 14 years old. So we'll see, but after reading this book, definitely going back and revisiting The Hunger Games with The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is on my agenda. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm excited to see what everybody else is anticipating and what they've loved so far, and I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you have the absolute best day of your life. Bye!